If you're making a copy of a Roman mosaic, should you use rectangle shapes in it? This is something that I've seen in more modern copies of them, and particularly on background areas, and I don't know if it's just because that's the easier shape for them to cut, but I'll show you why you shouldn't. If you use rectangles, particularly on background areas, the effect you get is the same sort of effect as you get on a brick wall, and it's very flat, very two-dimensional. There's no depth to it. If we're using square tesserae, then this creates a sense of depth, and as I say, it's more noticeable in large background areas in the mosaic. So what happens if you've got a space where it's a long thin gap and you have to fill that? Well, if you're using these rectangle shapes in there, it leads the eye. It creates a real contrast between the tesserae on the outside and that line on the inside, and that's what you don't want. So how do you get over that? Easy way to do it, you use small squares. Now I'm exaggerating here. These sizes are obviously quite a contrast in themselves, but really that's the only feasible way to do it, because essentially if you've got that small gap there, that's what we term as a design fault. What you'd want to do is somehow create a larger gap that you can use your full-sized tesserae in. If you look particularly at things like leaves in a Roman mosaic, and you can see, and I'll hold this up close to the camera, what they tend to do is, even though the line compresses at either side, that in the center you have the full width of 3 tesserae. Leaves are the best example of this. If you find a Roman mosaic that's got leaves in, you'll see this effect. They'll make it easier on themselves by just having that full width across the center of the design there, so that avoids any need of these sort of long thin areas. So rectangles, yes or no? No. Avoid them where you can. Yes, you will see them sometimes, but not as a feature in itself, not as part of the intention of the mosaic. So you want to avoid them wherever you can. If you need to use them, you've got a compressed area, then use the smaller squares. Thanks. If you like this, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.